Hello, this is a reading from The Witch Book, the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft, Wicca, and Neo-Paganism by Raymond Buckland today. And this is about Samhain, or Saun, to rhyme with cow. Samhain is the name for the witchcraft Greater Shabbat that falls on November Eve. It is popularly known by non-witches as Halloween, the Eve of All Hallows on the Christian calendar. It is the old pagan New Year, the end of the growing season and the start of the winter season when, long ago, humankind had to go back to hunting animals for food. The witchcraft year ends and begins at Samhain. There are variations of its spelling, as with many Wiccan names. Scottish witches, for example, call it Samhain, and the Irish Witche Samhain. Forgive my pronunciation, please. Samhain is a time when witches believe that the veil between the worlds is thin. This, then, is a time when it can be relatively easy to communicate with the spirits of loved ones who have died in the previous year. Many witches believe that the dead come back to celebrate the Shabbat with them. This is the idea that gave rise to the stories of ghosts at Halloween. It is also from this idea of communication with the dead that Samhain is considered a particularly good time to do divination about the future. In the old days, it would have been of critical interest to divine the nature of the coming winter. The Samhain feast was and is a big one. This was the time when the herds and the flocks had to be thinned, leaving only enough sheep and cattle essential to the continuance to be fed during the harsh winter months. The rest would be slaughtered, their meat salted and stored. The Samhain feast, therefore, included plenty of fresh meat cooked on the sacred Samhain fire. Such fires, known as Samnagan, blazed from all the mountaintops, marking visual lines of pagan association across the length and breadth of Britain and much of Western Europe. Such balefires burned at all the major Sabbath dates. The spiritual emphasis is the goddess throughout the summer, and at Samhain, that emphasis shifts to the god. This turnabout is emphasized by the crowning of the high priest in that role. He is crowned with a horned or antlered headpiece at the Samhain Shabbat celebration. Apples and nuts became associated with Samhain from the ancient Roman festival of Pomona, which took place on November 1st, and which celebrated the ripening of the fruits. The apple was the Celtic silver bough and the fruit of the underworld, symbolizing love, fertility, wisdom, and divination. The game of apple bobbing originated with this festival, combining the acknowledging of the ripened fruit and the desire to foresee the future. Apples are floated in a tub of water and must be seized and pulled out using only the teeth. The apple is then peeled, with the peel being kept in one long strip. Throwing the apple peel over the shoulder, it should land in the shape of the initial of one's future spouse. Pliny gives an account of a Druid festival at this time, and of the cutting of the mistletoe from the oak tree. It was the cut with the golden sickle and cut in a white cloak, since it was believed it must never touch the ground. In the 17th century, on the island of Lewis, off the northwest coast of Scotland, a rite was carried out at Samhain that was a curious blend of Christian and pagan belief. Beginning in Indian at St. Mulvey's Church, it involved someone wading out into the sea and chanting to the sea god Shoni. The words of the chant were, "O God of the sea, put weed in the drawing wave to enrich the ground, to shower us with food." A cup of ale was offered as an inducement for a good crop of seaweed used to fertilize the fields the following year. While the one person was placating the god, another extinguished the altar candle in the church. The festival continued on throughout the night, with a great deal of singing and dancing together and drinking ale and wine to the gods. The following morning, everyone would gather on the shore and invoke the god Brianul, praying for a strong wind to blow the seaweed ashore. Brianul. Huh. Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed this reading. I appreciate you tuning in. It's been my pleasure to read for you about the Festival of Samhain, and I will talk to you all later. Many blessings.